There are people in your life right now who are watching you more carefully than you realize. Not out of concern, not out of criticism, out of something closer to disbelief. Because you did something, you built something, you became something, you survived something that they genuinely did not think was possible for you. And now they cannot look away. They are studying you, trying to understand how you did it. And today this message is going to tell you exactly what they are seeing and why it matters for where you are going next. Let us talk about something that most people in the spiritual world dance around but rarely say directly. There are people who counted you out, not strangers, not faceless critics somewhere in the distance who never knew you. People who were close enough to see your struggles up close, who watched your difficult seasons from the front row, who observed your setbacks, your failures, your moments of genuine desperation, and who formed a conclusion. A quiet, private, sometimes even sympathetic conclusion that the version of you they were watching was the finished version. That what they saw in your hardest season was the ceiling of what you were capable of. They did not say it out loud necessarily, people rarely do, but they thought it. They adjusted their expectations of you downward. They stopped waiting for something significant to emerge from your life and started simply hoping that things would stabilize, that you would be okay, that the story would have a decent, ordinary, manageable ending. And then something happened. You did it. Not perfectly, not without struggle, not in the way that makes a clean, impressive story with no difficult chapters. But you did it. You built the thing, or you became the person, or you survived the season, or you made the choice. And the outcome of that doing is now visible. And the people who had adjusted their expectations downward are standing in front of the visible evidence of what you produced, and they are doing something they did not expect to be doing. They are studying you. Now, I want to be clear about something important before we go further. This message is not about pride. It is not about the satisfaction of proving people wrong, though that satisfaction is human and understandable, and God does not require you to pretend you do not feel it. It is about something more significant than personal vindication. It is about understanding what the attention of the people studying you represents in the larger story of your calling, and about what God is asking you to do with this particular moment in your life. Because the moment when people who doubted you begin to study you is not simply a personal milestone, it is a spiritual one. It is the moment when the formation that happened in private begins to produce results that are visible in public. When the work that God did in the hidden place, the refining, the developing, the building of character and capacity and faith under pressure, starts to manifest in a way that cannot be ignored by the people around you. And that manifestation is not for your glory. It is for God's. Let me tell you about what the people studying you are actually seeing, because it is more than they are consciously aware of. On the surface level, they are observing the outcome, the result, the visible product of everything you walked through, the business that exists, the healing that happened, the breakthrough that came, the person you have become. They are looking at the what, but underneath the what, and this is what is producing the specific quality of attention you are receiving, the kind that looks like study rather than just observation. They are sensing the how, and the how is what they cannot figure out, because the how does not make sense by ordinary calculations. The resources were not sufficient. The circumstances were not favorable. The odds were not in your favor. The people around you who started with more did less. And yet, here you are, having done what you did, having become what you became, with a quality about your life and your story that is not fully explainable by natural means. They are studying you because they can feel that something about your story operates by a different set of rules than the ones they are familiar with. And they are right. It does. The rules your life operates by are the rules of the kingdom of God. The rules that say the last shall be first. The rules that say what is weak in the world God chooses to shame the strong. The rules that say a grain of wheat that falls into the ground and dies produces much fruit. The rules that say the stone that the builders rejected becomes the cornerstone. These are not motivational platitudes. They are descriptions of how divine reality actually functions. And the people studying you are encountering the living evidence of those rules at work in a real human life. That encounter is an opportunity, not an opportunity for you to hold court and explain yourself, not an opportunity to catalog your accomplishments or revisit the seasons where others underestimated you, an opportunity for your life to speak, for the testimony of what God has done, told not in words primarily, but in the visible, undeniable reality of what your life now looks like, to reach people who would not have been open to receiving it any other way. People who are studying you are people who are asking questions, and a life that God has genuinely shaped, a chosen one who has done the real work, walked through the real fire, and emerged carrying something real, is itself the most compelling answer those questions can receive. Now let me talk about what you actually did. Not the specific external achievement. I do not know the exact shape of what your breakthrough looks like, but the internal thing, the decision or the series of decisions that produce the external outcome. Because this is the part that the people studying you cannot fully see, and that I want to make sure you understand clearly. What you did was choose to keep going when stopping was the reasonable option. That sounds simple. It is not simple. It is one of the most demanding things a human being can do. To continue forward movement in the direction of a God-given purpose through seasons where the movement produces no visible result, where the evidence around you consistently suggests that what you are attempting is not going to work, where the people whose opinion you value have quietly or not so quietly communicated their doubt about the outcome. To keep going in the face of all of that is not stubbornness. It is faith in its most functional, most costly, most real form. And that faith, sustained over time, maintained through the pressure, kept alive through the seasons when it would have been completely reasonable to let it die, is what produced the outcome that people are now studying. Not your talent alone, though you have talent. Not your strategy alone, though you have wisdom. The faith that refused to quit is what made the difference between a story that ended in an ordinary place and a story that arrived at the place it was always pointed toward. That is what you did, and it is worth understanding clearly, not for pride, but for the next time, because there will be a next time. There will be another season of pressing, another period where the movement is invisible and the doubt is loud and the option to stop presents itself as reasonable. And when that season comes, you need to know, from your own lived experience, from the evidence of your own story, that continuing is what produces the outcome. You have the evidence now. You did it before, you will do it again. Now let me talk about the specific quality of attention you are receiving and what it tells you about where you are in your journey. When people who previously underestimated you begin to study you, it is almost always a sign that you have crossed a threshold. Not just in terms of external achievement, though external achievement is part of it, but in terms of your spiritual development. You have become someone who operates at a different level than the one they categorized you at. And that shift is disorienting for them in a way that produces the very specific kind of attention you are now receiving. They are not just looking at what you achieved, they are reconsidering who you are. And the reconsidering, the reopening of the file they closed on you and the examination of it with new evidence is itself a form of honor. Not the honor that comes with fanfare and public acknowledgement. The quieter, more genuine honor of being taken seriously by people who did not previously take you seriously. That honor is appropriate. You earned it. Not by being perfect. Not by making no mistakes. Not by having the smoothest or most impressive path to where you are. By being faithful. By doing the work. By refusing to let the doubt of others, or your own doubt, which was often louder than anyone else's, become the final word on what you were capable of. Welcome back, Chosen One. Let me continue with what God wants you to understand about this season. The season of being studied, of being reconsidered, of having the outcome of your faithfulness become visible to the people around you. I want to talk about humility, not as a correction, not because I think you are in danger of becoming arrogant about what you have achieved, but because the specific kind of humility that God is asking of a chosen one in this season is something that deserves careful attention, because it is not the false humility that deflects compliments and refuses to acknowledge what God has done in your life. That kind of performed modesty is its own form of dishonesty, and God does not ask for it. The humility He is asking for is this: the settled, clear-eyed recognition that what you accomplished, as real as your effort was, as genuine as your faithfulness was, as costly as the process was, did not originate with you. That the capacity you demonstrated, the resilience you displayed, the wisdom you operated in, none of it was self-generated. It was given by a God who designed you for this before you were born, who equipped you with what you needed to walk the path he had prepared, who sustained you through every season that would have ended a person operating purely in their own strength. Hold what you have achieved with both hands, acknowledging it honestly, receiving the recognition with grace, allowing yourself the full experience of a person who did something genuinely difficult and succeeded. And hold it simultaneously with the understanding that the hand that made it possible was not yours alone. That combination, genuine acknowledgement of real achievement and genuine gratitude toward the God who made it achievable, is the posture that keeps the blessing from becoming a trap, that keeps success from becoming the thing that derails the very person it was supposed to advance. God did not bring you this far to have the success destroy what the struggle built. Walk in humility, not as performance, as truth. Now I want to talk about what comes next, because one of the most significant dangers for a chosen one who has reached a moment of visible breakthrough is the temptation to stop. Not to stop working, you are not that kind of person, but to stop growing, to treat the current achievement as the destination rather than as a point on the road, to allow the recognition you are now receiving to become the thing you are oriented toward, seeking more of it, protecting what you have achieved, becoming more focused on maintaining the current level than on continuing to move toward whatever is next. The people who are studying you right now, they have already captured the image of who you are at this moment. They have updated their file, they have reconsidered their assessment and arrived at a new one. And that new assessment, while more accurate than the old one, is still a snapshot, still a fixed image of a person who is, in reality, still moving, still growing, still being formed. Do not let the snapshot become a cage. Do not let the recognition of where you are stop you from continuing toward where you are going, because what God has planned for the next chapter of your life is not a plateau. It is not a comfortable resting place where the difficulty is behind you and the smooth road is ahead. It is the next level of assignment, the next degree of responsibility, the next stretch of path that requires the next version of you, more developed, more refined, more capable of carrying what is coming than the version of you that achieved what you just achieved. The people studying you today are studying yesterday's breakthrough. God is already building tomorrow's. Keep moving. Now I want to address the people who are studying you with something other than admiration. Because not everyone who is watching you closely is watching with pure motives. Some people who are studying you are doing so from a place of comparison, measuring what you achieved against what they have achieved, and finding the comparison uncomfortable. Some are studying you looking for the flaw, the mistake, the evidence that the success is not as solid as it appears, or that the person behind it is not as capable as the outcome suggests. Some are studying you because they had a stake in you failing, because your success challenges a narrative about themselves, or about what is possible, or about who deserves to succeed, and they have not yet fully made peace with the fact that you succeeded anyway. Handle all of them the same way, with grace, with the security of someone who does not need their approval to know the value of what they accomplished, with the patience of someone who understands that other people's complicated responses to your success are about their own journey and not about the validity of yours, and with the complete absence of the need to defend yourself. Your life is the defense. What you built, what you became, what you survived, that speaks more clearly than any argument you could make on your own behalf. Do not cheapen it by engaging with people who are studying you from a place of doubt or competition or resentment. Simply live the next chapter. Continue to build, continue to grow, continue to be faithful, and let the ongoing evidence of a life that is genuinely oriented toward God and toward purpose speak in a voice that no amount of skepticism can permanently silence. Now, I want to speak about the responsibility that comes with being studied, because attention, even the right kind, even the genuinely admiring, reconsidering, I was wrong about you kind, carries weight, and a chosen one who has stepped into a season of visibility carries a responsibility that they did not carry in the seasons of hiddenness. People who are studying you are not just observing an outcome. They are, consciously or not, asking a question. The question is, how? Not just the practical how, though they want that answer too, the deeper how. the how that explains the quality beneath the achievement. The source of the resilience, the origin of the faith that sustained forward movement through the seasons when stopping was the reasonable choice. You have an answer to that question. And the answer is not a technique or a strategy or a productivity system or a mindset framework. The answer is a God who is real, who shows up, who is faithful to the people who trust him even when the trusting costs everything. The answer is a relationship with that God that was built in the dark seasons, in the pressing, in the difficulty, in the moments when the only reason to keep going was the quiet certainty that he had not abandoned you. That answer is the most valuable thing you carry, more valuable than the achievement itself. And the season of being studied is the season when you have the most access to ears that are genuinely open to hearing it. People who dismissed your faith when your life was struggling are much less likely to dismiss it when your life is demonstrating its fruit. The credibility of your story, the fact that you walked through what you walked through and your faith did not produce an illusion, but a real, visible, touchable outcome, gives your testimony a weight that it could not have carried before. Use this season. Not manipulatively, not with an agenda, simply by being honest about the source, by being willing, when the question is asked, to answer it truthfully, by not editing God out of your story to make it more palatable to people who might be uncomfortable with him. He was in every chapter. He deserves to be acknowledged in every telling. Let me close with this. You did something real. You worked hard and you stayed faithful and you kept going when stopping was available, and you arrived at a place that the people around you genuinely did not expect you to reach. That is worth acknowledging, not with false modesty and not with pride, but with the clear-eyed, grateful honesty of someone who knows what it cost and who paid the cost willingly. And God, who was present in every moment of the doing, who sustained you through every season of the process, who never once looked away from the person who was refusing to quit, God is not finished with the story he is telling through your life. This chapter is not the climax. It is the evidence that the climax is coming. The people studying you today are going to have more to study tomorrow because you are not done. You are just beginning. Keep going, chosen one. You did it once. Now do it again. Bigger, deeper, further, with more wisdom and more faith and more capacity than you had the first time. And watch what God does with a person who refuses to treat their breakthrough as a destination.